Hi there, I'm Mrs. Irvin, and I'm at a very cool place I wanted to show you. You can look in the background, you see a little bit of water, and what else do you see? I'm actually in Durham, New Hampshire, and I'm just a few miles from the center of town, and I've come across this place that's pretty mysterious and interesting looking, and I want you to think about it a little bit, and I'll give you another clue. This is called a rookery. So what do you think is happening here? What's going on in this wetland, this area here? Who do you think lives here? And what happens here? So take a minute to talk to your family or a partner, and or you could write it down or draw a picture about what you think a rookery is. So pause the video now and go ahead. I'll bet you had all sorts of ideas about what happens here at a rookery. A rookery is a place where animals, usually birds, use to raise their young. So they have their nests here, and their eggs hatch and the babies grow up here. So in this rookery, there are many nests out there, and the bird that we're going to focus on is the Great Blue Heron. I've counted about 12 or 14 different nests out there. And these birds, the Great Blue Heron, are very large. They're about 4 feet tall, so they would come up to about here on me. I'd be taller than them, but they're very tall compared to the many of the birds that you see around your house. I'm wondering, how tall are you? Would a Great Blue Heron be smaller than you, the same size, or taller than you? So you might want to think about that. How tall are you? You could ask your parents. So for these large birds, they need very large nests in order to raise their family, because it's going to be a couple parents in that nest along with some babies. So you can look out there, and I'll show you some pictures a little bit more up close. But these nests, you can see, think about what they're made of. What are these nests made of? And you may have seen other nests that you could compare them to in your yard. I'm also wondering, where are the nests? Are they, some animals or birds have their nests in the ground, some have them up high in a tree. They're all different places. So think about, where are these nests located? And then, are the nests, the trees that the nests are on, are they in the water or are they on land? And how big are they? And you might want to think about the nests that you've seen around your house. Sometimes I see nests and they're about as large as my hand. There's even one group of birds right now raising some young that the nests are really small, about this size. So birds' nests come in all shapes and sizes, and scientists really like to look at all of these parts of an animal's behavior in life to understand them a little more. So we're going to focus on nests for a few minutes, and what I'd like you to do is to look at the nest and then pause the video, and you can make a sketch, or you can take some notes, or you can talk with a parent or a family member about what you're noticing about the nests, what you wonder, what they remind you of. So take a few minutes now and pause the video and think about the nests. I hope you were able to make some nice sketches and some notes about the nests that the Great Blue Heron live in. And if you were able to get a little bit closer, you'd be able to see not only the sticks that they're made of, and I still can't believe how they collect all those sticks and make those nests, but they also, scientists who've been able to go up closer to a Great Blue Heron nest, have noticed that they put things like moss and pine needles and crumpled up pieces of leaves inside the nest, maybe to make it a little cozier or more comfortable. What do you think that would be like, living in that nest with your family? Would that be cozy? I've moved to a new place now. I'm at Adams Point, and this is still in Durham, and it's a beautiful place. You could come with your family sometime. It's got lots of water around it. It's a point sticking out into the water. There's a river, and right here is some marsh. And this is a place where a great blue heron might come to get some food. So I am going to show you a video clip that my friend Ralph Fletcher made while he was here sitting very quietly and watching a great blue heron get some food. So I want you to watch for what the heron is eating, how it moves, and how it's able to catch its food. Look how carefully the heron walks through the marsh. When it spots a fish, its long neck can reach out and its bill grabs the fish. Looks like it likes to shake the fish and then swallow it whole. And those pencil-thin legs really help it to move without making any waves. And look at those eyes. The eyes are laser focused, looking for the next fish. It caught another one, shakes its head, and then swallows it whole. I wonder if you could move like this. Can you be a great blue heron, moving through the marsh, looking for a fish? Slowly moving its legs without making hardly any ripples in the water. It's got one more, so 4 fish for this meal today. I would like you to take a few minutes to sketch anything you'd like about the hunting that the great blue heron did. If they were, you could have it walking through the water, you could have just its head and its bill, you could just draw a picture of what it was catching. It's up to you. And you also it might be kind of fun if you're in your yard, don't do this in the water, but you could walk around in your yard and pretend like you're a great blue heron and see if you can move just like the heron was moving. So have fun, take some time to make a sketch and take some notes about the heron and how it gets its food. Before we go any further, I also want you to slow down and take a closer look at the great blue heron and all of its structures or body parts. I'm showing you a picture, and I'd like you to look at its bill and its eyes and neck and wings. Look at its legs and feet, and think about how each of these structures or body parts helps the heron to live and survive in its habitat. So take a few minutes to look at each one, maybe make a sketch of each one, and then I would like you to I'd like you to look more carefully at the wings. Look at this amazing bird and how it flies and how it's so large and how it is able to fly through the air with these amazing wings. So take a minute to think about all of these parts, maybe do a little sketch of each part, and then write down some notes. How does the size and shape of the structure help it to live and survive in its habitat? When the heron gets to be about 2 years old, they're ready to meet a mate and make a family. So they'll come to a place like this, a rookery, and build a nest or work on a nest that's already been built, add some sticks to it, and then they settle in, and the female, the mother, lays some eggs, about 4 eggs, and then both parents will sit on them and keep them warm for a whole month. So they might take turns while one goes to get some food, the other one will keep them warm. So they work together to make sure those eggs are getting ready to hatch and are developing. They need to stay warm. Once they come out and hatch, the babies are called hatchlings. And they're pretty dependent. They're not able to do very much. They can't get their own food. So the parents go out and hunt, and they feed them what we call regurgitated food. And what that is, it means that the parents will go somewhere, they might catch a fish and swallow it, and then they return to the nest and they open up their bill, and the food comes back out of their mouth and into the baby's mouth. It's pretty amazing to watch. So they are giving their babies regurgitated food. As they get older, they might drop some small fish in the nest, and the birds might be able to eat it at that point when their throats and necks are bigger. But at first, it's all regurgitated food. Can you imagine that? Very different than mammals, like a cow you might see, or any animal, a deer or a lamb. Any mammal gets milk from their mother. Birds don't do that. So after about 2 months, they start to develop, their wings are developed enough, and they start to practice to fly and to learn about the world. And then after 3 months, they're fledglings, which means they can leave the nest. And once they've figured out the world and they're good at flying, and then they can go ahead and head out into the world and then just live on their own until they're 2 years old, and then they'll come back to a rookery and have their babies. So what I'd like you to do now is to think about what you're noticing about family life with the birds, with the Great Blue Herons. And I'd like you to think about what you're wondering and what anything reminds you of. You can compare these animals to other animals. So I want you to take some notes or draw some pictures of anything about family life. So it could be the baby chicks, it could be the fledglings, it could be when the parents are feeding the babies, or when the parents are returning to the nest, or maybe them all just cuddled up together in the nest. So whatever you'd like, make a sketch. Could also just be like one of the babies. You could just sketch that, or the nest and everyone together in the nest. So make a sketch, take some notes, write about what you are noticing, what you wonder, and what it reminds you of. So pause the video now and go ahead, make your sketches. That was pretty exciting, seeing the babies start to develop in the nests and seeing how the families interact. And you can go out and see Great Blue Herons anywhere near. If you're in a marsh, right now I'm at the Bellamy Reservoir in Madbury, New Hampshire. I see Great Blue Herons here. You might see them flying overhead. And just know that those babies that are growing up will, when they're about 2 years old, they'll return to a rookery and start a family of their own. And now that you've kind of been thinking a lot about Great Blue Herons and you've practiced some different sketches, I'd like you to submit a picture that you've drawn, either a sketch with pencils or colored pencils or paints, or collage with different materials, to our school-wide Great Blue Heron exhibition.